Business Alliance community. How you all doing today?
It's another good morning here in Denver. So, up early. Be another fun day.
Oh yeah, always a fun day. Always a fun day. Yeah, we got sidetracked on the pre-roll. We were talking and just having a good time and went, "Oh crap, we got to start."
It's like, oh man, it's 6 o'clock already.
I've had a couple cups of coffee and I was ready to rock and roll. So, I've been up since 4 o'clock Chicago time. Actually, I've been up since 3 o'clock Chicago time, but that's here nor there. I got out of bed at 4 o'clock Chicago time.
That was me yesterday. My wife woke up and then I rolled over and her phone was on. And I was like, let me go talk to her. And I was like, up. I'm like, all right, the morning is starting early today.
Oh no, poor Kelly. That's no good. Searching for a plumber. What town are you in? We might actually have someone in our network.
Possibly.
Good morning, Soul. And everyone else. Good morning to everyone else. I know I flew through those comments, but y'all were just typing so dang fast today.
It is a beautiful day. I know we are getting beautiful weather, with fall. I would assume that everyone else in the country is getting amazing, cooler weather, warming up to maybe the 70s. Oh, it's been perfect.
It was, I threw a hoodie on yesterday. It was a little bit cold and raining. It was a typical fall day in Chicagoland. So,
I like when it's just a little chilly where you throw a hoodie on, but then it feels perfect and it's just not too hot. Been riding bikes with my son to school because on good days he likes to ride bikes up there. So I've been doing that with him. So he's been having fun on these good days.
Texas is still 90. You can keep that, Jeremy. You can keep that. I don't even like 90 in the summer. I'm just, just being honest.
You have 80-degree Christmases in Texas. That's why I left, But 90 is good weather in Texas because it beats 100.
It's true. It beats 100, 110. It's a little cooler. We'll celebrate that, right?
Yeah, Texas, cold front coming through. It'll be 68 degrees tonight.
Yeah, I think we have a couple 28-degree nights forecast in the next couple days. So,
we're getting close to that, but not yet.
Listen, you are not wrong, Jeremy. You are not wrong. I would love a nice middle ground. I don't want the 20 below, but I don't want the 110 degree. I just something in the middle. I'd be perfectly fine with it. 3 years ago, maybe 4, we had record cold. It was 50 below.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was when that vortex.
Mm-hmm.
That was ridiculous.
I had to go check the shop, the pipes at the shop because it was it was a warehouse at that point, and there was no insulation. Had one of those stupid, warehouse heaters shoved in the corner that barely could keep up when it was 30 degrees, let alone 50 below. So,
yeah, wind is the cold and wind. It does not mix well together. We've had a few windy days here since I've lived in Denver. That's been cold and windy, and those days make you want to die.
So this is funny to me. 40s next week. We'll turn the heat on. Listen, we just threw a hoodie on. Nope, not turning the dang heat on. It just ain't happening up here. I refuse. Another month. Give me another month. I don't want to turn the heat on.
Well, what Texans are used to, is when you do get where it gets a little colder, when you're an HVAC business, you get cooling calls and heating calls on the same day.
I saw a friend in Oklahoma. Heat, cold, or what was it?
Yeah.
Heat, AC, heat, AC, heat, AC, heat, AC. I was like, oh boy. Buddy, I've been there. I had 12 inches of snow on top of me. No. Do not miss commercial work. Do not miss it in the frickin' least. Do not miss it. Yeah, well, we know that. We know that. You Southerners, we tell you. We love you guys, but yeah, you don't do cold. So, I'm cold at 68 degrees. 68 is like the perfect temperature. I ran out, I was out running in like 62 degrees in shorts and my t-shirt the other day, did my 7 miles, and gosh,
That's nice.
it's perfect. It's
You don't
perfect
like,
running weather.
yeah, you like get cooled off by running, so you don't really break a sweat.
Yep.
It's the best.
It is perfect. So today is CYOA. It's important. It really is important. And it goes far beyond just the things that we listed. I mean, even some of the conversation that we had in the pre-roll um, really plays in, right? Like, are you developing leaders within your team? Are you, like, what things are you doing to make sure that you are prepared for the ups and downs in business? Or as a technician, what are you doing to prepare for the ups and downs within the job? Because there's a reality there too. That's true. You guys do. It's our hardcore up there in Wisconsin and Minnesota. I'll tell you what. Well, I'll kick us off in prayer. And I got a simple scripture, and we'll dig into the meat and potatoes. Why waste time today? So
Sure.
here we go. Dear Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time together, and we pray you bless this conversation, Father. We pray that you bless each of those that is watching now, and maybe catches it later on or rewatches it later on. Father, we just pray that these words would find them and be helpful. Pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So today, talking about preparation and CYOA. Proverbs 24:27. Prepare your work outside. Get everything ready for yourself in the fields. And after that, build your house. Prepared. Be prepared. That's what CYOA is, right? You're covering your own rear end. And it seems like, well, that's just, why wouldn't I? But how many people don't think about it? You were sharing with me why this topic was on your heart, is that there's some things that you just started implementing that some people would be like, well, why weren't you doing that before? It was important
Yeah,
before.
it's it's one of those things that, like, especially when you start your own business, you're experienced in the field, so you've kind of already made your mistakes and
Mm-hmm.
you know how to do the job properly, and you just do things, and you don't really have a policy down for them. And you'll find out that you have a policy together, but maybe you need to strengthen it more. Like my policy always was to run tests on the units, especially dealing with water. And I swear, the rookie technician, no matter how much you say it during training, it's always like, when you deal with water, you have to be super, super careful. Sure enough, they get in the field and they make a mistake,
Now,
but
you're an experienced business owner and an experienced technician.
yeah.
But let me ask this question for those watching. You talked about having policy and procedure in place. Is it written down?
Mine, yes, yeah. It's not the greatest company handbook, but it's something small, and that's something that I'm actually working on to get even bigger.
Well, and besides the handbook, because the handbook and the SOP, the operating guide, they're in
so
my mind they're two kind of different things.
so with Service Titan, since I've switched over to them, one of the features that I do like is you can make forms, and it can attach a form to any service ticket, and it really, that's why I have a lot of my procedures like on there. When you deal with washers, like, what's the age of the washer hoses? Are they old? Replace them. I'm having them go down a checklist and check everything, because we're doing Kind of like when you go to you get your car evaluated, at
Mm-hmm.
Midas or whatever. You're gonna have those spotlights, the red, yellow, green. I've built all of those for every appliance to go through. And then I've added some extra stuff, like when you're finished with the job, are you running a test? Is there any leaks? Is there, you know, just stuff like that they can go through and make sure that everything is buttoned up correctly. Um, but still, we just had an incident the other day on, a dishwasher that leaked. And, sometimes we've gotten lucky and it hasn't been an unfinished basement, or it's been an unfinished basement. So nothing really happens. We just go fix the leak, be done with it. Well, it was $1,100 in sheetrock, which isn't much. Like, things have gotten expensive,
Still.
it's just a small little ring, and it's like, yeah, that's probably like $500. And then my wife's like, well, because things have gone up, I bet you it's gonna be every bit of a little over 1,000. I'm like, you're probably right about that. She was like right on the she was right ballpark, like right at $1,100. Um, which then, because we're growing, and as a business owner, if you have a policy and you're seeing that, it's there, but maybe it needs to be strengthened, then you're gonna implement more stuff. So what I've done now that we've had a meeting with is, on Service Titan, we can add pictures and videos into the ticket. And it's like, you have to run a dishwasher for 10 minutes, like, and you're having to record it. So I want a video of it underneath the dishwasher, underneath the sink when it's draining, and I want to make sure that it's dry, which is going to cover our butt because that gets emailed over to the customer too. And it's like, well, we ran it for 10 minutes, too, like, if it's going to leak, it should be leaking within that time. And I have proof that my technician is doing it for the 10 minutes instead of me just telling them. And then you don't know, like, they could be, oh, I'm running behind. I'm just going to run it for like a minute or two. Now I have proof that they've actually sat there for the full 10 minutes because of the video time. And hopefully that's going to, make it where that doesn't happen again in the future. And just save the headache, because for $1,100, I'm not using insurance for that. That's stupid. That's for big stuff. If like the whole floor got buckled and we had a $20,000 claim, I'm not going to claim something on $1,100, but that just takes a little bit of money out of, our pockets at the end of the day that I would rather, there's more fun things to spend $1,100 on than ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the other things that we have in place, right? Floor protection, right? Are you using sideboards? Are you using air boards? Are you anything but just like dragging out the oven or refrigerator or something like that? Like, good night. How many companies do we see? Oh, we had another floor damage claim. Like,
yeah,
dude.
That's one thing that we're good at, is not scratching stuff. And it starts from the very beginning, whenever we show up to a customer's house, which I always thought, whenever I was younger, I just always thought it was just stupid and kind of like unneeded. But booties, like, I give everyone a small drop cloth to lay down in front of the customer's door, put their booties on, so they're on, they're not sitting there standing in front of their house with booties on, outside, just so we don't track absolutely nothing in their house. You can step on a rock and have a rock, be in your shoe or whatnot, and you're sitting there tap dancing, and putting little high heel marks in, bamboo floor, like, it's not gonna, when you have some booties on, it's gonna help protect. So we kind of start off, it's just good to show the customer that you care, is mainly like what it is. Like, does it help prevent so much of tracking stuff in? We're truck to customer's door. We're really not outside in the mud and stuff like that. So, but it's just to the customer, that, hey, you care about their property, that you don't want to ruin anything.
I know a couple of HVAC companies that actually have their own floor mats, like their own, like, actual, like, they have the company branding on them, and like they're good size door entry mats. They put it over the customer's, even over the customer's own mat. And it's just a place for them to not ruin the customer's floor. And with HVAC, you're in and out a lot more. If you're going to check the outside unit, especially, in the northern climates where you actually have a condensing unit that's outside, and then, everything else is inside, that becomes more critical for sure.
Yeah. So if you're not doing it, start doing that. Booties are cheap. All the supply houses have them. They're not expensive.
I So this is one of the things that you and I actually talked about. Do you have a service waiver for built-in oven repairs? The service ticket removes you from liability for cabinet damage. It's not just built-in ovens. You should have a damage waiver, service waiver for everything. Like if you have to touch an appliance to move it, whether it's a washer, a dryer, a fridge, a stove, whatever, get it signed.
Yep.
Get it signed.
And just
yes, you're going to do whatever you can. You're going to put the air boards down. You're going to put the slide boards down. You're going to use the all dolly. You're going to do all those things, right? Or you should be doing all those things. If you're not, shame on you. But you're going to do all those things, but still, crap happens. I don't care. It's going to the painter painted over something, and you're going to rip off a chunk of paint. The trim guy screwed something up, right? Like there's a million things that can go wrong. Cover your butt.
Exactly. And on that too, that a lot of people don't realize also, at least when I was getting some of mine, written up, by a lawyer, he said, because at that time I was doing multiple states, you can still be liable, like even though they sign it, that doesn't mean that, you can, if they really want to go after you and it really gets put into court and stuff like that, you're still going to probably be held responsible for it. But it does help out on that smaller stuff that the customer's like, oh, I did sign it. And then it doesn't even get that far. But you can't have a crazy that says, no matter what, nope, you still damaged it, I'm still going after you. You're probably going to be responsible for it. But you are doing everything in your power not to have that. If you don't have any floor protection, then yeah, you're going to scratch flooring. You're going to damage stuff, but the percentage of you damaging something and you're going through all the precautions, it's rarely going to happen. You're still protecting yourself. And then sometimes if something happens and the customer sees, oh, well, I signed something, whatever, we'll deal with it, then great. But just know that it's not like, oh, well, I had a signature that said it waived of all liability, so I have no liability. It's, they can still get you.
Still take your precautions. Still take
your precautions, exactly.
For sure.
Or they can just beat you up online, and stuff like that. You don't want that. At that point, it's like, do I get a bad review or do I take care of the customer and just insurance claim it? It's always another thing. You got to weigh it.
What else? What else? Oh, knees. Oh, save your knees. As time goes on, I see more and more guys talking about, man, I wish I was wearing knee pads. I wish I had, like a knee or something. I'm in my 50s and my body is shot. Like, yeah. Uh-huh. And listen, the previous owner of my company, of Gordon's, he was in his 70s. And he goes, dude, you got to wear knee pads. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Mm-hmm. No, dude, you need to wear knee pads. 10 years in, I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I need knee pads, And so, like, even doing the flooring stuff now, I'll tell you what, those Klein knee pads, if you have not seen the new Klein knee pads that are like second skin, good God, Google them. Go find them. They can go under pants, over pants, under shorts, doesn't matter. They're like second skin. If they were out 10 years ago, I never would have questioned wearing knee pads. I swear to you, it's insane. But I've been wearing those with flooring, getting down, doing the trim work and stuff like that as I'm helping my buddy's kid out on installs. And knee protection is just so big, right? Like we have some members in our community that have gone in for knee surgery because their bodies are wrecked. Protect yourselves if you are a technician.
Yeah, it's tough, like in the appliance industry, on being young and like thinking that you need it. Like when you're doing flooring, you're on your knees the whole, and most of the time, like on appliances, it's like here and there, you're up, down, you're on your knees for a short period of time. So it's like,
I'm telling
You
you,
know, when
that's why
we're
those Klein second skins, man, like I forget that I have them on. I honest to God would have worn them nonstop in the
yeah.
appliance industry had they been out 10 years ago.
I wish it
Like,
was like, yeah, I always wished, and I'll have to check those out, but I've always wished it's like, why can't they be like football pads where you just have a knee pad insert, that you just have just a small little,
so
half inch foam or 1 inch foam.
there are pants manufacturers that do it, but you are into $150 for a pair of pants, which is just stupid. I'm just saying it's stupid. Go buy a $20 pair of Klein knee pads that you can slip on before you put on, your work pants for the day, or you can slip over them. I like wearing them under because I don't have to think about it, right? Like they're underneath,
Yep.
and I just go throughout my day and I do my thing, right? So knee pads,
That's why
wear them.
I never liked them just because they're so big and bulky. So I would just have just my little hand, little knee pad that I would just throw on the ground, especially when I was doing sealed system. That I
I
would do.
so yeah, sealed system. I had the like 2 inch thick or whatever kneeler.
Yep.
And then Menards had these like little tripod folding chairs. So when I was sitting behind it, like and doing some work, I fold out the little tripod chair and rock and roll. Just way better, way better.
Yeah.
Got to protect yourself.
That's
We
why I
saw
always
someone.
loved.
Go ahead.
That's why I said that's why I always loved working on like Sub Zeros and stuff. Is everything was up top. I'd rather be, on a step stool or a ladder rather than like hunched over. you
Well, that's
know.
a perfect thing. Like CYOA ladder. Do you have feet protection on the ladder? Number one, so you don't slip. Number two, so you don't destroy the floor. Number three, use a freaking ladder and not a step stool because a ladder is going to put you at the right height versus a step stool where you're going to be reaching a little bit higher than you should and you run the
Yeah.
risk of hurting yourself. CYOA. You want to be in the long haul, you got to think long term. You got to think long game.
Yep.
I don't know.
Exactly.
There's a bunch of stuff like that.
There is.
Oh, Josh Gross asked the other day about this. He said, "You know what? I work for someone, and like the impending recession. That's what gave me the idea about the recession. He was asking something about it after I said something about it. How can I, as an employee, like make sure that I have a job? Like, how can I help my boss make sure that I have a job down the road? So, what does CYOA look like in recession proofing your business or recession proofing your job, right? Or even take the recession out of it. What does it look like to be valuable down the road? Whether you decide you're going to go and do your own thing eventually, or you decide that you're going to continue to work for your employer. What does that look like? Are you developing skills as far as leadership, as far as improving your technical knowledge, as far as soft skills, as far as sales? What are the different things that you can do to make yourself more valuable in the long run? That's part of CYOA. Doesn't seem like it, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing, like in his predicament too, is to be open with his boss, like have that line of communication. Just yesterday on the grind, I know Justin brought up, Andy brought up, of course, his technicians. Like he feels like eventually, that he's going to have different territories that he's going to open up because he has good technicians that he doesn't want to lose. So he would much rather give them their own shop and open up where they can continue to expand. And all of that is just from Justin having that line of communication with that technician and knowing what their goals are. And if you have a technician that, hey, I want to run my own gig, whether it's my own business or you give them a store, then as a business owner what you have to build to and things that you have to have in place to make that happen. You either lose the tech, or you branch off and open up another location. Just technicians need to, I know sometimes, and not all bosses care for that open line of communication and stuff like that. But if you do have a boss, that it seems like that guy, it seems like his boss is probably pretty open minded and stuff, and at least he's in a good headspace on wanting to, hey boss, what can I do to help you where I can keep my job? Like clearly he likes where he works, and stuff like that too. But try to have that communication, with your boss. It's second to none. It's going to help you grow. And as a business owner, you got to listen to that. People want to improve and grow, and you have to put things in line for them to succeed and for them to grow, or they're just going to get bored and they're going to jump ship. And then you're just going to be the company that sits there and trains up new technicians, and you're a farm system for other companies. And
Well, there you go. Like, so what does it look like to be a boss that cares about your people and is covering your butt as far as not having to retrain people, right? Like,
yeah,
you've taken a lot of steps within your business to make sure that you're caring for your people for the long haul. Talk about that.
yeah. I mean, covering your butt is given a good workspace, so you don't have to, sit there. That was weird.
Sorry.
I was like, did I lose you guys?
Nope, that was
Um,
me. Sorry.
but no, it's mainly setting yourself up. Of course, newer technicians are always going to have growing pains. So just try not to go through technicians as much as possible. When you have good ones, do everything in your power to keep it. Just because they are super valuable, everyone's going to have to learn and make mistakes, which costs the business money. Um, there's no way around it. People, they're going to have misdiagnostics. There's going to have weird stuff that they're going to learn, which I'm all for. But in the same mind is, you know, I can't wait until they get to 2 year, 3 year experience, because those numbers start to go down. They become way more profitable for the business, but in
Mhm.
return, you have to compensate them. And I'm all for that. I always try to get a pulse on my technicians, make sure that they're in a good headspace. I had one technician that asked to take a week and a few days off. And he called me up, and he's like, hey, my family is going to stay here for a little bit longer because of the hurricane in Florida, and that's where his family's from. He's like, do you mind if I take 3 more days off, to make it like a full 2 week vacation? I'm like, dude, go right ahead. Like we can survive, and that's just, I could be a bad boss and say, no, you already put in your vacation, you need to show up to work, because it is hard being down, a tech, and then I tweaked my back, so I wasn't working, so we were technically down two technicians, but it's like, my employee is more important, it's like, take the time that you need, your family's in, from Florida, you don't get to see them all the time, spend all the time with them. I could survive an extra few days without you, like it's not a big deal. But it's what I kind of have in place is just to be pro employee. I want them to like where they work. Of course, there's boundaries and stuff that can't just walk all over me. And I've had that happen where I've been too lenient in the past. Um, but I have my line drawn on certain stuff. But when they're doing a great job, I want to keep them as happy as possible.
This quote from Jeremy: "Train employees so they can do this without me. Treat them well enough that they never want to leave." It's awesome.
Yep.
So true. So
It
true.
is.
And we were kind of talking about that in the pre-roll. If you have siloed things so much that you are the only one and everyone has to come to you, and you've made yourself like where you can't step away, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
It's,
doing it wrong. Empower your people.
it's the worst business plan. Like it might be good for your, well, it's not good for your ego, but like you think in that point, if that's your ego, like it's like, oh, they need me, like that's not where you want them though. Like, yes, you're important in the business, but you don't have to prove it day in and day out. Like, well, you can't do this without me, don't get on the high horse, like that, and train, empower people, give them more. They want to grow, give them more on their plate, that they can handle and be and show leadership skills too. Some can do it, some don't. It's not, you can't, this isn't like a one fits all mold, like I don't treat all of my technicians the absolute same. There's some people have limitations, I always kind of go back to, it's not to like bang on him or anything. Is my brother-in-law. He's not a crazy big people person. He doesn't not talk, but he's just not super social, And my other two techs are the complete opposite. They're kind of like me, where they just won't shut up and everything. But nothing's wrong with that type of personality. He loves to go back and just do part installs. He would rather do that than being going out there and doing a diagnostic and then having to talk to the customer and having to sell something. That's not his strong suit. So
Mm-hmm.
majority of the time I try to make him follow up on parts because it makes him happy. He bangs it out. He does he can knock out parts fast. But that's something that you need to see as a owner or a manager, and put people in the best position that make them happy and they're going to do a good job. And that's how I manage him. There's a place for you in the business, that you will succeed at, and it's fine.
Take the time to get to know your people. I love what you said there. Again, another thing we were talking about in the pre-roll in my buddy's company, our reception and assistant. He was in the Navy. He's a very chain of command person. Like it's just so ingrained in him that there is a chain of command, and that is the only way that things happen. That's it's that's just it. And my buddy's like, well, I want him to come to me, but you're the boss. He's not going to come to you. It's just he's not going to come to you with something stupid because you're the boss, because he's so used to chain of command. I understand why you want to do it. It makes perfect sense. It goes to what we're talking about. Like, don't have that ego thing. You want people to be able to communicate freely. But like we said earlier, it's something so small that someone who has that so ingrained in them, I'm not going to bother the boss with this stupid little thing. Even though the boss is like, yeah, I don't care. It's cool. Do it.
Yep.
When that's just been so ingrained in you for so long, it's a very hard thing to change. It's going to take him a very long time to change that, if it ever happens, right? And so it's our job as leaders, as managers, as owners, to learn our people. Take the time to get to know your people. If you're a technician, take the time to get to know how your boss communicates, right? Like, take
Yep.
the time to learn, and you'll be surprised.
Yeah. Especially like, you might have an issue. Say you're a technician, you have an issue with your route, just talk to the CSR. Hey, why do we do it this way? Like, why does it seem like I'm running in circles? Like, because it might be something where they don't know that they're doing a bad job either, and you have to like, hey, why don't we come up with a plan, that makes the most sense on my route, because they don't know traffic that you're having to deal with or something like that. We used to have, whenever I lived in Austin, we'd have these two towns. One was Lakeway and one was Lago Vista. Well, there was a stupid huge lake in the middle of it that there was no bridge to go across. So you're going all the way around, and those two calls look like they're like 2 minutes away on the map, but they're an hour away. And we had a CSR that would sit there and legit like schedule both of those calls, to be right after one another. And it's like, it doesn't work. CSRs might not know,
Right.
have that open line of communication, with them, instead of just like resenting them and having that resentment, fester and get worse.
Another way to CYOA, have an HR department in some way, shape, or form. So if you are a member, an all access member of servicealliancegroup.com, there is in the members area, one of our partners is Big Picture Consulting. Ian Shodas, HR guy. Awesome. He was the guy that I used for any of my HR issues. Make sure that you have some human resources built into it. Make sure that you have someone that you can contact when something goes weird. It is inevitable. You are going to have to fire someone. It is inevitable. As an employee, you are going to have an issue with your employer. If you don't have a handbook, if you don't have an HR department, you're not CYOA. You are not. Not at all, right? So there's a piece right there in HR. That's an
Yeah,
important thing to make sure.
and even HR too. Like I have one through my payroll company. It's like an extra, I think, $180 a month. Like it's not much. I missed a little bit of your stuff. My kiddos are going crazy, but I got one that sounds like a raspy voice, and he's like wanting to yell at me, but I can barely hear it. Like, where did this come from? That's new. Good
It
change of
happens.
weather.
It
But
happens.
but yeah, you do make a good point on HR. Like it's not expensive. You can go third party. You can go even through your payroll company, because I bet they probably have an HR option that you guys can choose from.
However you do it, because some people do it through like QuickBooks, or some people do it through whatever, right? And you may not have an HR option in that. Just make sure you check out some of those third party options. Have a handbook in place. Have an HR department. I'll tell you what, when crap went weird and I had to call him and I went, I've never dealt with this kind of situation before. What am I supposed to do? Well, you fire the guy, and make sure you document everything. And here's the documents that you need to have, right? I wouldn't have known that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have no clue. So that's where an HR person that understands exactly this, you
Yep.
need someone who understands the laws of your state. You
Yeah.
absolutely need someone who understands the laws of your state.
Some are pro business. Some are pro employee. They're all
Mm-hmm.
different. You know.
And and on an employee side, it's important to have HR too, because you need to be protected as an employee, right? We're sitting here as business owners sharing, but it is just as important as an employee that you are protected on the HR side.
Yeah. Yeah. You have
Call your
bosses that
boss out on it. Step up. Hey, you know what? I'm not, like, figure out how to approach them about it, but we need to make sure that we have, some of these things in place. We're a team. Things are flexing and moving and whatever. We need to make sure that we have this in place. So
Yep, that's so true. And on a little bit of these policies that we've kind of touched on too. If you're an employee and your company doesn't have these policies, do one of two things: make your own policies and you protect yourself, because you have some company, some bosses that up you screwed up, goodbye. Especially if you're a subcontractor. If you are a subcontractor, you are a business owner.
mm-hmm.
Those policies need to be written for you, because at any time you mess up, you can have a boss that's not so nice say, "See you later." Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to give you an excuse to fire you and stuff like that. But even if you're an employee, if they don't have these in place, you can, hey, boss man, can we create these? Or, hey, these are a few things that I thought, we are growing. I don't know if you've really thought of these, let's have these in place. Which would show your value, show that, hey, you can be eventually management material. Or it's just good for yourself, just so you're not making mistakes. If they don't have these policies in place, but it's perfect floor protection on anything and everything. Having in your truck, it's cheap, to get throw blankets and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Not expensive. Even moving blankets. I like moving blankets even more because they're thicker than just normal drop cloths. You know, spend, the $50, on a moving blanket. It's going to be way better than you damaging floor. Um, just have this isn't stuff that, you can really do your boss up to, but, your invoices,
First aid kit,
yeah,
jump pack, especially if you're in the northern climate. You want to have a jump pack, spare tire, right? Like, we're coming into winter season. You want to make sure that, especially in the northern climates, you have stuff if you get stranded.
yep,
Like that kind of stuff is important. You never know
yeah.
what's going to happen.
Make sure your truck tires are good. Sometimes, like, I try to harp on my guys, hey, let me know when stuff needs to be done to the truck, but I can't see the trucks all the time, so, you know,
EJ
gotta,
was actually just sharing that with me yesterday as I was driving home. Him and I were having a conversation. He put GPS on his trucks. And his guys are like, "What the heck?" He's like, "I trust you guys. It's not you. The whole reason I have this is so that I can keep an eye on the fleet. I want to make
Yep.
sure either A, if the vehicle gets stolen, we know how to get it back, or B, guess what? I can be preemptive in the maintenance so we don't have a truck down and you're not losing money as an employee, right? And we're not losing money as a company.
Yeah.
Cover your own butt by having a GPS and being able to take care of your fleet so it's reporting back oil life and coolant temperature, and if the truck is accelerating too hard or braking too hard, guess what? That means that you're going to have to replace brakes sooner. It also means you have to have a conversation with your technician, but
Yeah.
it does mean that you're going to have to replace brake components sooner than later. If they're accelerating harder, you're going to be burning oil, so you're going to have to be doing oil changes sooner than later. You're going to have a higher gas bill, stuff like that. Maybe you need to
Yep.
work on routing, stuff like that. So those are all
It's
just
yeah,
simple,
and
important things.
even like GPS too is the technicians are less likely to speed, which is less likely of them getting a ticket, which then will make your rates go up. A lot
Hmm.
of people don't realize that. On that was one of the main reasons why I wanted it is, you know, I didn't want that chance, which knock on wood, my techs haven't gotten speeding tickets and stuff like that. At least
Hmm.
my rates have gone up, but they can always get speeding tickets on their own time too, which is going to affect your rates also. But while they're driving a lot in your vehicle running service, which is the majority of the day, you know, that's not going to happen, hopefully, and not create, your insurance rates going up on commercial auto, which are already expensive. You don't want them to go up anymore.
And then one of the biggest things that we haven't talked about, and this applies whether you're an owner or a technician, get your health in check. Get to the doctor on a regular basis. Get your blood pressure and your cholesterol and all that stuff checked, right? Um, as a health coach, I tend to be a little more passionate about this than most. But it is so important. When I was 120 pounds heavier than I am now, I was miserable. I didn't feel good. And I almost ended up in the hospital. I was on the verge of a heart attack, right? Like, so, and I've heard several guys share that stuff. So make sure you're taking things to preemptively take care of yourself, whether it's eating right, going out and exercising, whatever it is, make sure you're doing those things um, so that you can make it the long haul. And that applies whether you're a technician or a business owner.
Yeah, you can't be a technician with your body breaking down. It's, you know, and it's going to happen. You're going to get those aches and pains. You're going to get to where that age where you can't, run service regardless. But do you want that to be at 40? Or, do you want to extend, your health, and make it where you can work as long as you want to, and get up to 60 or something. If you want to run service when you're 60, there's plenty of appliance technicians that do. They've taken care of their body. Some, it's just not possible, have stuff in
Previous
place,
owner of Gordon's, he was running service until he was 70 years old, and that man was in the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning. I swear to you, that he. Oh yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
leaving the gym. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I'm just leaving the gym. He was out there. He was
yeah,
exercising every day. He made sure that he ate right, and he was out doing service until he was 70 because he wanted to. He's a crazy guy, but
yeah.
that's what he wanted to do.
It's tough, in this industry running service, to get in the mojo of wanting to work all the time, working long hours doesn't give you opportunity to go to the gym, eating fast food because it's the easiest thing to do. Um, it's it's one of those jobs that you can get into a really bad, health
Shameless
situation.
plug. I have a nutrition plan that works. It works for anyone if you're willing to work
Yeah,
it. You have to be willing to work it though. Um,
yep,
I lost 120 pounds just by eating right while running service. And I was doing commercial service at the time. So there's times I was gone for 24, 25 hours at a shot because I'd be doing jobs overnight in the commercial space, and not getting home till the next day. So you
yeah,
can do anything that you set your mind to. You just have to cut out the excuses. speaking from experience, speaking from someone who had to have that conversation with himself in the mirror going, dude, if you don't change something, you are dead. It scared the crap out of me. 33 years old, nearly dying of a heart attack. Like, dude, wake up call. Like, young daughter, wife going, crap. That's a whole nother point. Life insurance. Do you guys have enough life insurance? Bet you don't.
Yeah. It's expensive to live, you know. $1 million policy seems like a lot, but it'll go by pretty fast.
It's a lot more
Especially if they want
expensive
to
for
pay.
your family if you're gone and there is
Yep.
no one to take care of them. So
Yep.
these are
That's why,
things
as
to
a business
CYOA.
owner, yeah, that's why as a business owner, I want things in place where the business can run without me. Also, is another life insurance policy. You know, can you build it up to where things can still go good without you? You know, your family will love it. Not everyone can do it though. It's tough.
So we've covered a ridiculous amount of topics today, guys. Drop in the comments, send me or Travis a message if there's something that you want us to cover more in depth. I know we were all over the map with CYOA today, but there is so much stuff that is out there, whether you're a technician or a business owner, to be CYOA. Let us know. Shoot us a message. We'll
Yep.
dig into a topic even deeper. We'll bring in some other people to chat more about the topic. We want to know what you guys want to hear about more. I know we have the Ask Me Anything tomorrow, but you know, Travis and I, we're always open to talking about what you guys want to talk about, and that's why we did such a broad topic today, because we knew it would spark some interest, and you can kind of come to us with what you want to dig in more.
Yeah. Even if it's something small, you know, we'll make a quick little video, you know, we can post it, you know, to the Facebook group, you know, we're here for you guys, you know, you can pick our brains, you know, we both have had our ups and downs in our technician career and our business career. You know, we've learned a lot and we still have a lot to learn, you know. We're by far not done learning, you know, being good business owners, you know, and just people in general, you know, just being a good human being, you know, there's always room to improve. So,
We have a weekly book club. It is at 6 o'clock Central on Wednesdays. Right now, we are doing 21 Irrefutable Laws on Leadership. It is not too late to join. This coming week, we will be working on Law 4. Super quick, super easy. Doug Shear and myself are leading that up. And that is going to run all the way to ASTI in February, because there's 21 laws and there's about 21. There was about, from the time we started, about 21 weeks leading up to ASTI. So still time to join. Shoot myself or Doug Shear a message if you want to do that. That's part of CYOA. It's developing yourself as a leader, as an employee. It's personal development that helps you in the long run. And I have another book for those of you who just don't want to be a part of the book club, but you're interested in, like, well, you're talking about how can I have a conversation with my boss? Well, my boss is my boss. Guess what? How to Lead When You Are Not in Charge. It is by Clay Scroggins. It's another book that I'm reading simultaneously. How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. It talks about how do you lead when you don't have the title of manager or business owner, or my face froze. Holy crap, again, that is hilarious. How do you lead when you don't have the title of owner, business, whatever, operations or manager or whatever? What does it look like to lead? Well, one of the things that we learn in 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is that if you don't have influence and you think you're leading, you're just taking a walk. So you can, without a title, be a leader just by influencing those around you, including your boss if you are a technician. So, little personal development plug for you.
there you go.
All important things. Let us know. Send us a message. Let us know what you want to talk about more. We're here for you guys.
Yeah. Let us know.
Well, brother,
We love the feedback.
it's been fun as always.
Yes.
I will.
Be productive, everyone. Have a
Yes,
good
indeed. Get
productive
out there,
day.
love your customers well. And Travis and I will see you next Thursday.
Yep.
Have a good day, guys.